Hey y'all. I just want to run over some things with you all. Transitioning into this new year. I just wanted to touch bases with you all before we start 2023. I just want to let you all know that thank you all for your support and riding with me in 2022 through my healing journey, through my learning journey, through my cleaving to God's bosom, through some of the things that God has shown me. Thank you all for being supportive, listening to me and following, sharing, and commenting on my videos. One of the new things that I'm going to do in this new year, I'm about to get ready to go on a date. I am taking one of my platonic friends and transitioning them into the possibility of romantic. Here goes nothing. I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm nervous. One of the things I really wanted to talk to the women about, we've been talking about love. We've been talking about a whole lot of things that you all have not known. We're going to go back to one of my videos where I talked about how practical men are and how, women differ from men because we are more optimistic than we are practical. Having said that, women, in 2023, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this plain Jane and bad bitch competition as they regards to being wives. Ladies, let's put on our big brain. It's an aesthetic. It's an aesthetic that can be taken off and put on. It does not make anybody a wife. It doesn't make someone else disqualified from being a wife because they have different aesthetics. Let's talk about what happens when a man decides he wants a wife and a family. Let's be logical, ladies. Let's start thinking with our big brain and not our small brain. Our small brains usually have a hint of feelings, emotions, a taint, a stain of flesh and vanity. But we need to start thinking with our big brains as it applies to a man. Because men have a tendency in their being practical, they think with logic, tact, different things that we're not thinking with. Let's use our wisdom and act like we know some things. When a man decides to get a wife, 9 times out of 10, lady, most of us come with families already. Most of us already come with children. Most of us already come with different assets. This man is logical and practical. He already knows that. So he's thinking in his realm of affordability. What we're going to do in this new year and start acting like we know something about men. And knowing something about men like women. Men like women. Women's. A man likes women. They don't care if yes, at certain points of a man's life, they do have a preference. But all day long, at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, a man likes a woman. Yeah, whether they skinny, fat, they got types, they got preferences and different, that and the other. But men like women. But when a man gauges a room, he gauges a room for women. But when a man who is dating with a purpose and is deciding that he's looking for a wife, he gauges the room a little bit different than the man who's just gauging the room for women. His gaze is different. You're sitting there, ladies, and you have on a $500 wig. You have on a $100 individual lash set. We already, let's start it. Let's say your wig costs $700. Then you got a $100 individual lash set. We already almost at $1,000. Then he moves down to your nails. And your nails cost anywhere between $90 and $135, if not more. Then he moves on to your shoulder. And you got on anywhere from a $500 to a $3,500 bag. He hasn't even looked further down you. And you are already run up to $1,000 in aesthetic. That doesn't make you a bad person. That's why I'm having this conversation. The same man does is gaze the room. He continues to gaze the room. There's another woman. She has on less of an aesthetic. She still has on an aesthetic. Plain Jane and Bad Bitch, they're both aesthetics. They're both aesthetics, but we have to remember that men are practical. See, this is me and them start calling it the natural woman. It's not the natural woman. She's an aesthetic. Always remember that woman can put on some makeup and a wig and some nails and some lashes and be me. I can take all of that off and be her. There's no difference in the two. These are aesthetics that we are looking for to talk about what made one woman wifeable and another woman not wifeable. So let's talk about the gaze of a man who is looking for a wife. I have this conversation in a practical way where you can understand. Okay, ladies. 18% of the United States of America, meaning all 50 states, 18% make over 6 figures a year. Only 18%. As an African American, I make up 13% of the United States of America, which means that when I walk outside my house, although I would like to believe that I am going to come into contact with the 18% all the time, and even though the men that I come into contact with, every time I come in contact with a man, he makes over $100,000 a year because he's this big boss and this big banking man and this and that. 18% of the United States of America makes 6 figures a year. You women are dressing for a 6-figure man and running into blue-collar workers. She's not a plain Jane. She's dressing for her demographic. You're not. You don't even have enough sense to go where you are valued. If you're going to put on thousands and thousands of dollars worth of aesthetic, stop putting on thousands and thousands of dollars worth of aesthetic and going to sit inside of a dwelling or a building, a club or a bar that only charges you $10 to get in. Go to a game, an NBA game, where all of the people inside of that dwelling are the people that your aesthetic matches. Because the man that's looking for a wife, he wants to provide for you. He wants to do for you. But you're not practical. He can't take care of you, your children, and spend most of his money on your aesthetic. I'll give you an example. I was dating this guy one time, and I just, showed up on him one day without my makeup on, and just my natural hair had been pressed out and done, and just, chilling or whatever. And he said, "Is that your natural hair?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "How much does it cost for you to look like that?" I said, "About $75 to $100. Meaning, how much did it cost for me to get my hair pressed out? And he said, "I'll do that for you. Every time you need that done, I'll do that for you. I'll get that taken care of for you." This man had been sitting somewhere wanting to do something for me, but being practical. He had a mortgage of his own. I had a mortgage of my own. He had a car note of his own. I had a car note of my own. I have children. He has children. I got dogs. He got dogs. We have all of this. He couldn't do. It's not that he couldn't do anything for me, because he could have done it all. But being practical, paying $135 to get my nails done. Bring everything full circle, ladies. Men love women. Men don't give a doggone about your aesthetic. Let's stop competing with one another about the affection of a man. Men could care less whether you screw them with a wig on or screw them with your wig off. They just intend to screw you. But a man looking for a wife, is operating in his knowledge, his logic, his amount of being practical, because he wants to provide. He wants to do. He wants to be the head of his household. Just because you don't mind spending thousands and thousands of dollars to keep your aesthetic doesn't mean that he doesn't. He don't care nothing about that. He wants to provide for someone that is practical. It doesn't make her a better wife than you, a better woman.